Chosen one. If you're hearing these words right now, pause for a moment. Breathe slowly and let your soul catch up to this moment. This isn't content for the masses. It's for those being led into a deeper level of maturity, where faith is no longer just words, but obedience in silence. If you're only looking for something that feels comforting, what you're about to hear may feel too heavy. But if you've lived through seasons of loneliness, seasons of being misunderstood, nights when you had to stand strong by yourself, then you already know this truth. Sometimes heaven isn't loud, yet decisions are still being made. And here is what matters. There is a very dangerous stage when the chosen one begins to rise. Sharper wisdom, steadier emotions, deeper awareness. At that point, your environment reacts. Not everyone can handle you changing. Not everyone wants you to step into your new position. So stay until the end. Well, because what you're about to hear isn't meant to inflate your ego. It's meant to keep you alert, to protect you from unnecessary collisions, and to remind you that some battles were never meant for you. And if you feel your spirit being awakened right now, walk with the channel God, the Triune. The heavenly moment. Pause. What happened that you didn't even realize? Chosen one, I want you to slow your breathing. Stop whatever you are doing and listen with your soul. Not only with your ears, not only with your mind, but with the deepest part of who you are. Because what I'm about to explain is the reason your life started to feel different without any logical explanation. The reason things began changing inside, even while nothing outside seemed to change. The reason you started sensing something profound taking place, even though you couldn't name it, describe it, or fully understand it. Takes long before anything shifts on earth, long before manifestation appears in the physical realm. Heaven always moves first. The divine never waits for human awareness in order to act. The divine never asks permission, never seeks approval, never announces intentions in advance. The divine moves first and reveals later. And in your case, chosen one, something happened while you weren't paying attention. Oh, while you were busy questioning, while you wondered if you were making progress, while you doubted the path you were walking, something happened in the spiritual realm that you were completely unaware of. There was a specific moment, an exact second, when heaven paused over your name. Not because you spoke loudly, not because you tried to get attention, not because you made noise or demanded to be seen, but because you endured, because you kept moving forward even when nothing was clear anymore. Well, because you prayed even when prayer felt heavy, burdensome, like it wasn't going anywhere. Because you remained obedient when obedience seemed unrewarded. When it felt pointless, useless, that is when the divine intervened silently, firmly, and permanently. Many chosen ones believe spiritual breakthroughs must feel dramatic. They expect lightning from the sky, an audible voice, thunder, instant deliverance, visible signs, proof that cannot be denied. But the truth is, the deepest movements of the divine are silent. They are still. They are subtle. They are like law, like rulings issued in a courtroom, decisions made in the courts of heaven. Authoritative declarations with eternal meaning, not loud announcements echoing on earth for everyone to witness. What happened to you, chosen one, was not emotional. It wasn't about how you felt in that moment. It was legal, official, permitted by divine authority. A judgment was issued over your life while you were still questioning, still doubting, still wondering if you were capable, if you were qualified, if you were truly called. The decision was made while you were still hesitating. You didn't feel it because heaven protected you from the weight of it. If you had known too early what was being announced, what was being permitted, fear might have entered your heart. Pride might have tried to rise and take root, and doubt might have interfered with the process. So, in infinite wisdom and mercy, the divine kept you unaware, while still securing the outcome, finalizing the result, completing what needed to be completed. That was mercy. That was protection. That was wisdom beyond human understanding. There was a specific time in your journey when your faith was measured, tested, weighed, but you were never told it was a test. You were never informed you were being watched. Heaven observed quietly, tracked carefully, documented every move you made. How you handled delay without answers. How you handled silence without explanations. How you handled misunderstanding without becoming defensive. How you carried emotional exhaustion without quitting. You were observed even when no one applauded. You were tested during the moments you thought you had been forgotten completely, overlooked entirely, abandoned absolutely. And it was in that hard and lonely season, your most difficult season, that everything shifted, because heaven responded with power. You see, chosen one, heaven doesn't respond to empty talk. Heaven doesn't respond to impressive speeches or dramatic declarations. Heaven responds to alignment, to authenticity, to who you truly are when no one is watching. The divine is not moved by how much you talk about faith or how eloquently you proclaim belief. Well, what matters is how you show up when faith becomes expensive, when it costs you something, when it demands everything from you while seeming to give nothing back. And you kept your integrity. In moments where compromise would have been easier, more comfortable, more accepted, you restrained yourself. You held yourself back. You practiced self-control in the face of revenge, even when revenge would have felt justified. When retaliation seemed like the only reasonable response, you stayed kind. You stayed gentle. You chose compassion when bitterness would have been understandable, when hardening your heart would have seemed like the simplest form of self-protection. Those quiet moments, those private decisions, those internal choices no one else saw or knew, were not ignored. Every one of them was recorded, observed, honored. And you crossed a spiritual milestone without any ritual, without any announcement, without any celebration. An irreversible point, a threshold, yet a line within your soul. Once you crossed that line, your assignment could no longer be sabotaged by the enemy. It could no longer be delayed by circumstances. It could no longer be transferred to someone else. It was locked, sealed, permanent. And when that happened, heaven did not celebrate loudly. Heaven did not throw a party. Instead, heaven became still, solemn, because what was confirmed about you carried weight. It carried responsibility. It carried eternal meaning. That is exactly why your life began to feel strange afterward, not worse. Do you understand? Not worse, just unfamiliar, different. Old drives were replaced, old motivations vanished, old desires that used to excite you lost their attraction. Old goals that once felt urgent slowly stopped mattering. You began to feel disconnected, distant, from what once felt normal, natural, core to your identity. That wasn't confusion, chosen one. You weren't lost. It was transition. It was transformation. Yet your spirit was recalibrating, realigning toward a completely new authority, a different level of permission, a higher operating range. You might have thought nothing happened, because outwardly everything looked the same environment, the same challenges, the same problems, the same unanswered questions, the same impossible situations. But inwardly, at a deep spiritual level, something foundational changed. Your tolerance for certain energies dropped sharply. The things you used to tolerate suddenly became unbearable. Your patience for nonsense, drama, manipulation, games disappeared. Your appetite for shallow connections disappeared too. Superficial relationships, meaningless conversations, gone. These weren't just personality changes. They weren't moods, phases, or fluctuations. They were spiritual signals, divine direction, evidence that something changed in your spiritual DNA. When heaven moves first, earth always responds later. What a physical manifestation always lags behind spiritual approval. And that delay between what's been decreed and what becomes visible is not punishment. It isn't the divine hiding from you. It isn't a test designed to frustrate you. It's alignment. It's divine arrangement. Time, creating space for structures to shift, for people to reposition, for circumstances to reorganize, so they don't conflict with what has been approved for your life, so they don't interfere with what's coming, so they don't block what's been released. That is why certain doors closed suddenly, without warning, without explanation, without giving you a chance to fight for them. Why people left your life without closure, without a clean ending, without a final conversation. Why plans that seemed guaranteed collapsed at the last minute, right when you thought they were about to happen. Heaven is removing interference. Heaven is removing obstacles, and heaven is removing distractions. Not because those people are evil, but because those things are no longer compatible with the position you're stepping into, with what has already happened. You didn't fail when those things fell apart. You weren't rejected when those people walked away. You weren't punished when those doors shut. You graduated. You leveled up. You were promoted, spiritually. And spiritual promotion rarely feels like excitement in the moment. It often feels like loneliness, stillness, heaviness, isolation. Because elevation comes with awareness, increased responsibility comes with deeper understanding. True spiritual awareness carries a weight most people are unwilling to carry. The divine does not elevate the chosen one simply to make life more comfortable, or easier, less challenging. Elevation is not about comfort, it is about effectiveness, impact, positioning you where you can fulfill your purpose with maximum result. There was a specific moment when heaven recognized something miraculous, that you could be trusted to remain silent, trusted to not have answers, trusted to wait without knowing when the waiting would end, trusted to walk forward without knowing what comes next. That level of trust is rare, and most people want understanding before they're ready to receive it. Most demand answers before they have the maturity to handle them, but you chose obedience without explanation. You said yes without knowing all the details. You kept going without the full picture, and that is why heaven responded with permission. If you're starting to understand what I'm revealing, if light is breaking through and you feel overwhelmed, take a moment to subscribe now so you don't miss what comes next. A message is written specifically for you, designed for the exact season you're living. Why were even archangels astonished? What was released over you, chosen one, what was decreed over your life, is not normal, not common, not standard procedure. When heaven issues a decree, when the divine releases authorization, there are levels of authority depending on the assignment, the calling, the mission entrusted. Some missions require angelic support. Others require prophetic confirmation from multiple sources. Some require signs and wonders to accompany them. But what was issued for you, what was permitted concerning your life and future, required something higher, deeper, more significant. It required a command so profound, power so great, influence so wide, that even archangels, beings who exist in the farthest reaches of divine presence, paused to witness it. They marked it. They observed what was being released. This is not to inflate your ego. This is not pride. This is to stabilize your confidence, to anchor your faith, to strengthen your assurance. Because once you truly understand the level of authority behind what has been spoken over you, you will stop doubting. You will stop questioning. You will stop asking if it's real. You will know. What has been sealed over your life cannot be reversed. It cannot be blocked. It cannot be canceled by any opposing force. The enemy knows what has been released. Darkness is not blind. Evil is not ignorant. The spiritual realm is aware. Demonic forces feel the shift over your life even when you haven't fully recognized it yet. That is why spiritual resistance increased after your season of silence. That is why attacks intensified, became more frequent, more strategic, right when your circumstances didn't visibly change. Why does the war escalate right when you think you're about to break through? The enemy doesn't waste energy. The enemy doesn't invest resources. The enemy doesn't deploy high-level attacks against those with no assignment, no threat, no real authority. Interference is evidence of importance. Opposition is evidence of significance. When heaven permits something truly powerful, when something with eternal impact is released, opposition rises to test your resolve, to challenge your commitment, to see if you will retreat when pressure increases. But here is what you must understand. Deep in your soul, the attacks you faced, the battles you fought, were not designed to stop you. They were not designed to destroy you. They were designed to distract your mission and to prepare you, to train you, to develop you, to build capacity inside you. Every battle sharpened your discernment. It taught you truth from lies. It showed you how to distinguish the divine voice from the enemy's whisper. Every delay that frustrated you, and every closed door that hurt you, every rejection that confused you, trained your patience, built endurance, developed your ability to trust what you cannot trace, believe what you cannot see, stand when everything around you shakes. Every wound, every betrayal, every abandonment deepened your compassion, gave you empathy you could not gain any other way, formed in you a heart that can comfort the broken, because you know what it feels like to be shattered. While you are not the same person who entered that hard season, you are not who you were when testing began. You were forged through fire, forged through pressure. You endured what would have crushed others, what broke people less committed than you. You survived. You stayed faithful even when leaving would have been understandable, even when quitting would have made sense, and that endurance qualified you for what's next. It prepared you for what you're stepping into. What does this mean for your future and your assignment? Chosen one, what has been given to you is not only for you. It's not just personal benefit or private blessing. It is for many, for the multitude, for everyone who will be affected by your obedience, moved by your faithfulness, transformed by your willingness to say yes to the divine core. This mission carries weight, meaning, eternal value, because it involves others. Someone is waiting for you to step into position, waiting for you to arrive, waiting for you to walk in the authority that has been entrusted to you. They don't even know they're waiting. They don't realize their breakthrough is connected to your obedience, but it is. That's why you can't keep doubting. That's why comparison is no longer useful. Your path is distinct. Your timing is intentional. What you called delay was preparation. What you felt as waiting was positioning. You are in the space between permission and manifestation. And that space is sacred, protected, guarded. When heaven releases something powerful, divine protection is not rushed. Sometimes protection looks like delay. You wonder why everything slows down when you feel ready. Why progress looks invisible even though your faith is steady. It isn't stagnation, it is concealment. Heaven hides what is precious until the environment is safe enough to receive it. Even the sun was hidden before it was revealed publicly. So if concealment is necessary for that level of calling, how much more for those chosen for significant assignments? Understand this. There are still things about you that have not been revealed, not because you're unworthy, but because revealing too soon would invite interference. Heaven knows timing better than desire, so while you wait, heaven has been working. While you doubted, heaven secured. While you thought nothing changed, everything was being arranged behind the curtain. Pay attention, chosen one. Something has changed inside you that you haven't fully recognized. Your spiritual senses are sharper. Your discernment is stronger. Your ability to detect truth from lies is increasing. You notice patterns you once missed. You feel energies before events happen. You sense warnings before danger arrives. That is not coincidence. That is an upgrade. Heaven does not release authority without equipment. Or you are being prepared, even when you thought you were only surviving. Every closed door taught you trust. Every delayed answer taught patience. Every painful separation taught discernment. You think differently now, react differently, choose differently. And the people closest to you can feel it, even if they can't explain it. Some celebrate your growth, some feel threatened, some drift away because they can no longer connect. That isn't rejection, it's restructuring. And not everyone is assigned to your next season. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a portion of your journey. Their leaving is not betrayal, it is completion. Honor what was, but do not cling to what is no longer yours. Now your responsibility is management. Revelation changes responsibility. Once you understand what has been done, how you move matters more than ever. This is not a season to rush, prove, or announce. This is a season to manage what has been entrusted. First responsibility, restraint. Resist the urge to speak before you act. Not everyone can handle what's happening within you. Some people only receive the fruit later. Explaining too early invites interference. Silence protects what is still forming. This is not secrecy from fear. It is wisdom from clarity. Second, humility. Power grows best on level ground. The moment ego rises, clarity dims. Beware spiritual pride disguised as confidence. Confidence listens. Pride talks unnecessarily. Stay teachable. Everything you carry was entrusted, not earned. Gratitude keeps the flow open. Entitlement clogs it. Third, discipline. Not harsh discipline, but gentle consistency. Maintain your prayer life, even when you feel strong. Read scripture not only for information, but alignment. Choose habits that support peace rather than stimulation. Your inner environment matters more now than ever. Fourth, patience. You are in the transition between confirmation and realization. Well, this is where many sabotage their own breakthrough by rushing. Let things unfold in perfect order. Time is not delay, time is protection. Trust it. Fifth, compassion. As your awareness grows, you will see others still trapped in cycles you escaped. Don't judge them. Remember how long your process took. Lead gently. Speak with kindness. Power without compassion becomes control. Your mission is not to fix everyone. It is to stay aligned. You must also learn to rest without guilt. Rest is obedience in this season. Overworking dulls clarity. The divine does not need you exhausted. Clarity comes from rest, not striving. Pay attention to what drains you right now. Conversations that feel heavy, chaotic environments, obligations that break your peace. You are allowed to choose differently. Management includes boundaries. Another responsibility is obedience without haste. You will receive subtle nudges rather than loud commands. A pause, a wait, a thought to redirect. Let's respect those gentle signals. Your sensitivity is being sharpened. Obedience now may feel less dramatic, but more precise. You may also notice quiet favor, opportunities without announcement, grace without noise. Receive them humbly. You don't need to broadcast every victory. And this is crucial. Don't keep living in old seasons. Don't replay pain you already overcame. That pulls you backward emotionally. Honor your growth by living forward. What right direction doesn't require perfection, it requires awareness. Stay aware of your inner state. When peace leaves, pause. When clarity fades, pray. When confusion rises, wait. The divine does not require you to understand everything. The requirement is simple. Stay aligned. If this message helps you understand what you've been feeling, let me know by liking this video and sharing it with someone who needs it today. That simple act could be the final drop that lifts someone who is overwhelmed back toward the light, the stillness before visible manifestation. Chosen one. After everything you've heard, remember this. The stillness you're feeling is not emptiness. It is the sign of a transition. When heaven approves, earth often moves slower, and that gap is protection so everything can be arranged in the right order, the right time, the right environment. Don't force things to happen right now just so you can feel safe. Don't deny what has been decreed just because you can't see it yet. Walk gently, but walk firmly. Stay humble, but don't lose certainty. And remember, you are not falling behind. You are being positioned to step into the greater work ahead. If this message touched exactly what you're living through, leave a sign that you're ready. Beat Triune by commenting 777. And if you want to keep receiving in-season messages for the Chosen One, follow and walk with the channel God the Triune.